you go.
Hello and welcome back, Taste Buddies.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. April, how are you doing?
I am just marvelous. It has been a beautiful week weather-wise, which always really affects my mood. I am definitely really affected by the weather, so that's been good. It's been a really productive week it's been productive but not super stressful. The only downside of this week is that I had to return the new chair that I bought, which was
no. What was wrong
moment
with
of
it?
silence. It was just starting to really hurt my back, and it was so cute, but I had to talk myself down and be like, April,
Not
I know
functional.
it's cute, but it's not functional. You're sitting in this for sometimes 8 hours at a time. It's just not realistic. So I returned it. Actually, it's sitting outside waiting to get picked up right now, and I ordered a new one. So moment of silence for the cute chair that was lost.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that your chair didn't work out. I hope you find one that is beautiful and is good for your back too.
And thank you. Yeah, this is like a relationship. I just broke up with the chair.
There's more chairs out in the sea, April.
Listen, I've been searching for literally months, and I have not found a chair. The problem is that I don't really have time to go to a store. And when I have had time to go to a store, they don't really have anything out on the floor. So you can't sit in anything. So I have to order something, sit in it, test it out, and then inevitably it's not comfortable enough because I don't know. I feel like I can't trust the reviews because I've obviously ordered chairs where the reviews say that's comfortable, but that one, the reviews on the last one said they were comfortable and it wasn't comfortable. So I don't know. I can't trust anybody.
Look, April, years looking for the right chair. You just
don't tell me. I can't sit in this chair any longer. The current one I have to put. It's literally. Listen, it is a trooper.
Listening.
It's a veteran. It has really carried me through. But the bottom, it's leather, so the bottom part of it is cracking. So I literally have to put a blanket down on top of it because otherwise it'll poke my legs.
Wow.
But Old Faithful over here will carry me through until I find
I love that. Once again, I'm sitting in another wicker chair. My mom really loves wicker. It's like her thing.
Those are wicker.
Yeah. So this is just the dining room set. So this is it's kind of
I know exactly where you are. Kelsey, do you want to tell our audience where you are now? This is every new episode. Where is Kelsey? Where is she now?
This week I am in Florida. My family has a condo down here, so I am hanging out by the beach this week. It's
so
very
jealous.
Beautiful. The weather is a little bit cloudy today, but most days are very sunny and nice. You'll see on my personal page, I posted a photo of the beach trying to get people's attention to ask us more nutrition questions, which
I didn't see that.
I just posted it because I was like, hey guys, we need some more nutrition related questions.
Yes.
Please, please, please. You can send them to our Instagram. You can send them on our Google form. You can email them to us, literally anywhere. We are always looking for more questions to answer.
I know that you guys have them, and don't worry, no judgment zone, and then they'll also be anonymous, so we never say who they are if you're asking and you're curious. So, and challenge us with any question. We love to learn and explore, so if we don't know the answer, we'll research it for you and get back to you with our professional opinion.
Yeah. Do you have any more updates, April? Anything new happening?
Nothing new except that I'm just flabbergasted that 2 weeks from now is Thanksgiving.
I know. It's coming up quick.
It is my duty this year. Well, it really is every year because I love to bake, to bring the desserts to Thanksgiving. And normally I'm a pie girl, and I can make a good pumpkin and apple pie, but this year I want to get more creative, and I just haven't had time to research other Thanksgiving desserts. So if anybody has any suggestions, please lay them on me, because
I have a suggestion for you, which is my go-to every single year. Every year I make a salted caramel or caramel, however you say it. Salted caramel chocolate pecan pie.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
I will send you my recipe.
Please do.
Maybe if everyone's lucky, we'll give a bonus recipe for that because it's a crowd favorite. It tastes like a brownie and a pie with salted caramel and pecans.
I that would be amazing. And I just realized that I said Thanksgiving is 2 weeks from now, but when everyone's listening to this, Thanksgiving will be
This
3
week.
days from now.
Yep.
So it's 2 weeks
Yes,
from
ma'am.
recording, 3 days from when you were listening to this right now, if you're listening to it the day it's released. But I
Yes,
would really love that recipe. Please send it my way because
I will. And you know
yeah.
what, everyone? I do. If we will bonus recipe. We'll put it up for everyone because it is real good,
Please
really good.
bless us all with your pie. So now I'm gonna
I
do
will.
apple pumpkin, salted caramel chocolate pecan pie,
Yep.
and then I probably do a pumpkin bread. I think I'm just gonna bake all day Wednesday. That's
That
gonna be
sounds
such
so
a
fun.
dream.
Where are you gonna be in Arizona for Thanksgiving?
Yeah. So we couldn't. We ended up usually what we try to do is do like one holiday with one side, the other holiday with the other side of the family, and then swap. So like Vetrano Thanksgiving, Nafis Christmas, Nafis
Yeah.
Thanksgiving, Vetrano Christmas. But COVID had to go in and mess everything up. So we didn't travel last year. So it was Vetrano everything since my husband's side of the family is where we live. And my side of the family is back in Massachusetts for the most part. And this year we couldn't travel because it just didn't work out logistically. So another year we're doing Vetrano everything. And then maybe next year we'll have an opportunity to travel to the East Coast for one of the holidays. Where are you going for Christmas and Thanksgiving? Well, I know you're back in the U.S. So you're obviously not with Will's family.
Right. Yeah. So the last 2 years I've been in New Zealand for the holidays. We didn't really do Thanksgiving. It was really boring and
Right, because it's a U.S. thing.
well, yeah, obviously, but like usually knowing me, I would be like, let's plan a big thing just for my Thanksgiving, but it just never worked out. This year we'll be in California, seeing my aunt in like outside of San Francisco for Thanksgiving, which will be really cool. And then we're doing Christmas at my mom's house. So
yay. I'm so excited you get a U.S. Thanksgiving and Christmas.
A real Thanksgiving, Christmas, because New Zealand does not care about holidays. They're like,
I don't
oh,
understand
Christmas
that.
Day, like we should maybe do something. I'm like, guys.
Do you think it's because the season change? Like, I think it would be weirder to celebrate Christmas during the summer, you know?
Yeah, I think it's that there's not as much hype around it. Like no one really decorates their houses because well, some people do put up lights, but it's not like Christmas lights or anything. It's just kind of like, oh, maybe we'll put up a Christmas tree or whatever. I think too, just Americans are hardcore
I love it.
when it comes to holidays. Yeah, I appreciate it. There is definitely some like crazy consumerism in there, which isn't great.
We're gonna ignore
But
that.
yeah, but like Americans are just super intense about holidays. Every single holiday, it's like Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Valentine's Day, Easter. Like we're just constantly jumping at it. Where
Memorial
other
Day,
places,
4th of July, Labor
yeah,
Day.
exactly. Like we've always got a
Repeat.
new holiday to look forward to, which maybe is what keeps us going. Whereas like I feel like in New Zealand, I mean, they have a lot of national holidays. Like they have like a Treaty of Waitangi Day, which is similar to Thanksgiving, like Independence Day. It's like kind of a mixture of both. It's just their like historical day, I guess. And people are like, oh yeah, we have a long weekend. Like no one does any, like it's not like I've never heard of, I don't know. Like I would say it's more of a traditional holiday, but most people are just like, oh yeah, like long
That's
weekend.
so wild. I wonder why. Kind of want to look into that.
I don't know. I think that Americans just really like to buy things. I don't know.
Listen, I just love to celebrate. I mean, any opportunity to celebrate, doesn't matter how big or small. Like life is meant to be celebrated and just to have fun and enjoy life. So I'm here for it.
I
So
agree.
right now, when this episode is released, are you going to be in California?
Yes, I'll be in California.
Okay. Yay, fun. And when does Will land in California?
The Friday before this episode comes out. So it'll be the 19th. Yeah.
And is that when he first lands in the U.S., right?
Yeah.
He's just coming to California. Okay.
Yes.
Cool. Well,
Mhm.
I'm so excited for Thanksgiving and Christmas. We already put up our Christmas tree last night because I was just in the mood to.
Love that. I know.
Normally we wait. Normally we wait till after Thanksgiving, but this year, I think because we haven't been able to really travel to the East Coast for the holidays, I was like, I really just want to put up our Christmas tree before Thanksgiving, but we're not going to decorate for Christmas or decorate the tree until after Thanksgiving.
All right. So it's just there. It's not pretty yet.
It's
Well, I mean,
there.
it's still pretty. It has lights.
Yeah. Well, okay, so growing up on the East Coast, everyone for the most part gets a real Christmas tree. Like you either chop down your tree or you go to like a tree farm and get
Yeah,
the
yeah,
tree.
yeah.
So I grew up doing that, and I always wanted to continue doing that. And you can get real Christmas trees here in Arizona, but with the weather, they tend to just not last as long, and it's more difficult. There isn't as much selection, and it's like a whole big thing. So I finally caved last year, and Joe convinced me to get a fake Christmas tree from Costco. And I'm torn. I'm torn because we put up this tree in literally 5 minutes. It took 5 minutes to put up. It was so easy. There's no pine needles anywhere. It's so perfect looking and tall and beautiful. The lights are automatically on and they turn on right away. I can change the light color. They blink, they flash, whatever. It's so convenient. But then on the other hand,
Where's
the
the
whole process
tradition?
of getting the real Christmas tree, and it's like so imperfect looking that it's perfect, but then it
Oh,
like takes forever to put the lights up, and then you have to let it set, and there's pine needles. I don't know. I go back and forth, but I just told them eventually we should just get multiple Christmas trees.
I love it.
So,
Growing up, we were always, well, before I was born, my parents were a type of family.
mhm.
Um, my dad was the type of guy that when something went wrong, he was not a handyman. He was a pick up the phone, I do my job so I can pay someone else to do their job kind of guy.
That's fair. He works
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah. He was definitely like corporate guy because handiwork was not his thing. But the year before I was born, and maybe my mom was even pregnant with me, they had a real Christmas tree that fell, I think, 3 times.
Oh my gosh.
And finally they said, "Screw it, we're going fake." And so my whole life we had fake trees.
That's
Um,
surprising because Pennsylvania, I mean, that's a huge wooded area.
well, I was born in North Carolina.
Oh,
So,
so you were in North Carolina. Still, even so, lots
yeah.
of wood.
Yeah, but yeah, same. So, but anyway, we had, these like, even my dad was still like, we're going all out, and he'd get the 13-foot fake trees. And that was the case my whole life pretty much. And then my mom got remarried to her new husband, and he is a real tree guy. And so we were like, you know what? We'll make an exception. You can get the real tree as long as you take care of it, you water it, you sort it out after the holidays. Like we're like,
Uh-huh.
we can do it, but it's your baby.
It does,
Um,
yeah, it does require more effort,
yeah,
for sure.
but I mean, he loves it every year, and the house does smell
Yeah.
amazing. So yeah,
There's nothing like it. And then do you guys all go pick it out together?
I
Or does
haven't
he
been
like to go pick it
home
out? Well,
just
yeah,
before the
duh, you haven't been
holidays.
home.
My mom and he go get it together, but
Yeah.
like usually, even with college and stuff, I wouldn't get home until maybe 5 days
Yeah,
before the holidays anyway. So yeah.
that's true. And part of it too, growing up, is like we would all go as a family and everyone would like debate over which tree and you'd pick it out together, and it was a whole big thing. But you certainly, yeah, you have to water it. You have to make sure you screw in the sides of the stand like even
I think
enough
that
so
was
it's
my parents'
straight.
fault. I think that was the
Yeah.
fault in
It's the
23
screws.
years ago.
Yeah. 23 years ago. But hey, to each their own. I plan on having both one of these days.
I love that.
For
I
now,
I
we're a
hope
fake
that
family.
for you.
We're a fake family.
Oh my gosh.
I appreciate that. Okay, on that note, shall we get started with the research portion
I
of
think we
this
shall.
episode? We do research first, right? I
Um,
forget every time.
yes.
Okay. All right. We'll be back.
All right. See you soon.
Okay, welcome back, taste buddies.
We are back and ready for some research. At least I am.
Every time I say welcome and kind of like sing it, I think of that scene in the movie She's the Man. Have you seen
Yep.
that? Where
Yep.
the bald principal is like, welcome, 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 welcome. Welcome to Illyria.
I
And
know
it makes me
exactly the
chuckle.
movie because we were obsessed with that one.
So
I
good.
think I've probably watched it over 20 times.
Yeah, it's a classic. You can't go wrong. Anyways, just thought I'd share that. So,
Anyways.
since the theme of our episode is sugar, and sugar is a carb, and when I think of carbs, I think of grains. This is where my thought process was when I was looking into research. When I think
Okay.
of grains, I think of gluten. So I was like, let's look up some research involving gluten because obviously gluten-free diet is sweeping the nation recently,
Mm-hmm.
because more people are identifying have celiac disease or gluten intolerances. But then it's also the diet industry has kind of capitalized on it and utilized it as a type of diet. So I thought, why not dive into some research? I kind of already had an informed opinion about utilizing a gluten-free diet sans intolerances or celiac disease. So people being on a gluten-free diet if they don't have a intolerance or celiac disease. But I thought I
Mm.
would just dive a little bit deeper into the research, and just see what they had to say. And in my travels through the interweb, I stumbled across um, Harvard's website, and they had actually really done a lot of the work for me and
I
wrote
love
a whole article about a gluten-free diet and its benefits, and analyzed 14 different studies. So listen, I didn't just sit back and read the article. I did go into all the studies and analyze them myself to just look through them.
love
But
it.
I thought it was really interesting. So they were kind of looking at gluten-free diets and whether or not they were beneficial to be on. If you were, I mean, obviously, if they're utilized specifically for people who are celiac disease or have an intolerance, I mean, you can't not be on a gluten-free diet, otherwise, just terrible GI issues. But for those who are on a gluten-free diet and don't have celiac or intolerances. So
Mm-hmm.
just before we get started, for those of you who don't really know, because I feel like gluten is one of those things that everyone throws the word around. They're like, oh, it's gluten free, but like no one really does. Anyone really know what gluten is?
You sound like Scott Disick. Have you seen that meme? When
No.
he's oh my gosh, there's a meme of him like I think he's talking to Khloe Kardashian if anyone is still not sure what we're talking about. He's like in the car and he's like, yeah, she said she's gluten free now. What do you even or no, maybe he's talking to Courtney and he's like, why are you gluten free now? Do you even know what gluten is? And
Oh
she's
my
like,
gosh, I know what you're
no.
talking about. But that's the thing, is I think the problem with diet culture is that people just trust in it so implicitly that sometimes they
Definitely.
just follow it blindly. And then I just want to, I don't think a lot of people really even know what gluten is. So,
Yeah.
just as a tidbit, and I think this is going to surprise a lot of people, gluten is actually a protein that's found in wheat products. So, if you've ever stopped to really think about this, which most people probably haven't, the reason why there's so many different types of flour. So there's cake flour, bread flour, just your kind of your average flour. The different types of flour actually indicate the different levels of gluten. So if there's more gluten in a flour, that means it's going to create more of a tougher product. Versus if you have something like cake flour, it's going to be lower in gluten, which means it's going to create something more flaky. So that's why you have different types of flour for different purposes. So, in case anyone was curious and you've been utilizing the word gluten but not really sure what it is in fact a protein in wheat, which I think is
Mhm.
going to surprise a lot of people. So,
Yeah.
now with that, we have that out of the way. So, like I said, this Harvard study analyzed 14 other research studies that I then looked into. And one of the ones I thought was really the most interesting was a study that analyzed 100,000 participants. I think it actually ended up being a little bit more than that, but it was around
That's a good
100,000.
sample
So,
size if I've ever heard one.
yeah, right? Amazing sample size. And they looked at long-term gluten consumption in adults without celiac disease who are also at risk of coronary heart disease.
Okay.
So it was really interesting because it looked at the effects of, again, gluten-free diet. If we're doing not thinking about someone with celiac disease or an intolerance, just utilizing it as a type of diet, so a mechanism for weight loss, which is how it's advertised. We're looking at that in people who are at high risk for coronary heart disease, and a lot of those people do tend to gravitate towards wanting to lose weight. So they looked at all those people and they looked at long-term dietary intake, so over many, many years, which I thought was really interested. And they found that gluten intake is not associated with risk of coronary heart disease, as I suspected. I'm sure you suspected as well. And actually, they found that maybe the avoidance of gluten may result in reduced reduced consumption of beneficial whole grains, which may actually increase risk of cardiovascular disease and cardiovascular risk. So they kind of came to the conclusion that promotion of gluten-free diets, eating gluten-free diets in people who are not at risk, who don't have celiac disease or intolerances, is actually should not be encouraged because you could increase risk of heart disease and other ailments and comorbidities. So, I mean,
Yeah.
truthfully, I knew that going in, but I think it's always important to, like, even though we may know these things and trust them implicitly, I think it's always important to reevaluate new research to make sure it's still, there isn't any new findings. So I'm glad that I went through it. But, you know, really makes sense. So we have whole grains, so important. And we've touched on this in past episodes. Whole grains are the entire kernel, wheat kernel. So that's the bran, germ, and endosperm. It has lots of micronutrient benefits, fiber. It even has a little fat in there. Not scary, but good fat. So it's all incredibly beneficial. Fiber is a great way to reduce cholesterol and things that would put you at risk for cardiovascular disease. So if you are going on a gluten-free diet and don't need to for celiac reasons or intolerances, then you're really reducing a lot of those important benefits that you could be getting, especially with that gluten removal. So
definitely.
that was one of the studies that I analyzed. Oh, sorry. Were you going to say something?
I did want to note something that I feel like this happens a lot with when people, you know, decide they want to go on a diet or trying to lose weight. This is, you know, their new goal, or it could be a lifelong goal that you've just been struggling with your whole life. But a lot of people think, oh, if I just remove this one thing from my diet, I'll sort it all out. So I'm sure, like, so I've done this. I literally tried every single day. I'm going to go gluten-free. Now I'm going to go lactose-free. Now I'm going to go completely vegan. Now I'm going to go, you know, this, and that, all of these things. Removing one thing doesn't mean that it's just gone. It means that you're going to find a new way to replace it. So if you go gluten-free, okay, cool. What are you going to go for now? A gluten-free pasta? The same nutrient composition, pretty much, guys. Like, it's not going to make any difference when it comes to your intake of calories or whatever nutrients. What it's actually just going to do is what April said. It's going to remove a lot of the beneficial things that do come with gluten-containing foods, like fiber, like B vitamins, like, you know, all iron, things like that, that are in really, really healthy whole grains and gluten-containing foods like wheat and barley. So, I mean, they're great sources of nutrients. And when you take them out, you're just going, okay, well, I'm going to take them out probably to lose weight, but really your body's going to go, hey, I still need carbs. I still really like grains, and you're just going to look for them somewhere else. So restriction is never going to get you to where you want to be, because you're going to need to get that fill from somewhere else. And as you restrict, you're setting up that rule, which we've talked about before. You're setting up that rule of, I can't have this. Now I want it even more. And that's going to lead to those, you know, binges at some point down the line. It's not going to be your whole life, especially if you don't have an allergy, if you don't have, you know, an intolerance to gluten. You can have it, and that's going to make you go, ooh, I can have this, but I shouldn't. I shouldn't have it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Which is going to make you want it even more.
Absolutely. And I think where it really stems from initially is that part of people it stems from wanting to lose weight and be healthy and reach their health goals, and they want it so badly, and it's so easy just to villainize one thing. It's so easy just to say, okay, well, it's gluten that's causing all my problems. If I cut it out, then everything's gonna be perfect, and my health is gonna be perfect, my weight's gonna be perfect, I'm gonna look perfect, and everything's gonna be perfect. It just makes it so easy, whether it's gluten, dairy, whatever, and it just doesn't work that way.
Yeah, it's
life
like
isn't that
there's
easy.
no
Sorry,
magic
friends.
wand. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no magic wand. I like to kind of compare it to profession. So, you know, if you want to be a nurse, a lawyer, really, most professions, you can't just like wave a magic wand. You have to put in the work. You have to go to 4 years of undergrad. A lot of these you have to go through a master's degree. You have to pass exams. So you have to put in all this work to get to your dream, your passion, your life's, what am I looking for? Your dream, your passion, your dream
Life's work.
profession. I
Yeah,
couldn't think of
your
your
dream
profession.
profession.
Your dream profession, but it's worth it in the end.
Hmm.
So same thing with health. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to take 7 years to get there, but it does take a little more time than
Yeah.
just.
And keeping in mind too, if we're keeping that metaphor up, just because you got the dream job doesn't mean it's going to be perfect either.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you got the dream job doesn't mean that all of your troubles are ending. Most of the time, getting a dream job, you got troubles elsewhere. You got things going on all over the place too. So, and that's the
Mm-hmm.
same with health. Say that you reach this goal that you had. Awesome. Now, you might have other goals, or there might be other things coming into your life, and knowing that it's okay for things like that to happen. It's
Mm-hmm.
not all going to crap. It doesn't mean you need to revert all the way back. It just means, okay, this is the new challenge this week or this month or this year. What can I do now? Not,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going back to where I was from the beginning.
Yeah, having the tools in your tool belt to address it. So if you
Yeah.
are a nurse and your patient has issues, you have the knowledge and skill set to address it to help them. Or if you're
Hmm.
whatever, if we're using that same metaphor, absolutely. It doesn't mean everything's going to be perfect, but it means that you have the tools and the mindset to address it and
Yeah.
move forward. So I want
I,
to point, oh, go ahead.
I did have a question. I'm not sure if you're going to get to this
Yeah.
one as well, but with gluten, I know a lot of people are really concerned about inflammation.
Mhm.
I'm wondering if we're going to be talking about that at all.
No, but that's actually really interesting. I think we should address that at some point. These studies didn't necessarily address specifically inflammation. They addressed risks of comorbidities, weight loss, and then actually vitamin and mineral deficiencies. So,
Okay.
but that's a really good point. It would be interesting just to see um, if there are any studies out there that look at
Yeah.
gluten and
Well, we
inflammation.
can circle back at the end of this as well. We can chat about it too.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there were some takeaways from all these studies. So basically, people without oh, actually, it looked at another study, people who have celiac disease and were on a strict gluten-free diet, and those people were actually found to have inadequate intakes of fiber, iron, and calcium.
Mhm.
And they found that gluten-free cereal products are low not only in those nutrients but also B vitamins, including thiamine, riboflavin, niacin, and folate. Which, if you all don't know, thiamine, riboflavin, niacin, and folate are all different B vitamins. So something to keep in mind too, if you're cutting something out of your diet, you may end up having a vitamin or mineral deficiency. So it's really important, if you are going gluten free because you do a celiac or an intolerance, a true intolerance, then you should be taking multivitamins, vitamins, minerals to make up for what you're losing. And just keep that in mind too. If you're going on a gluten free diet and you don't have celiac or an intolerance, you're also could be very deficient in these micronutrients, which I think in this day and age, people just don't even think about that. When I think most people, when they think of micronutrient deficiencies, they think of like scurvy, not getting any oranges on the ship
Yeah.
when they were
Or like
sailing over from
anemia.
England. Yeah, people don't think that in this day and age that they're at risk for micronutrient deficiencies, but you really can be, especially with extreme restriction.
Hmm.
So gluten, another study also looked at gluten as a prebiotic, which we kind of touched on 2 weeks ago, 2 episodes ago. Prebiotics. I know I did a research on probiotics. We did touch on prebiotics, which are the food for good bacteria in our body. So those are very, very important, and those are found in things like fiber, so whole grains. So going gluten free could also reduce your prebiotic intake, which could affect your gut microbiota. So that was something that they looked at as well. So, and the change in the amount of that activity of these bacteria was also associated with gastrointestinal diseases,
Hmm.
including inflammatory bowel disease, colorectal cancer, and irritable bowel syndrome. So, people who are on gluten-free diets were reducing the amount of prebiotics in their diet because they were reducing the gluten, therefore reducing whole grains, and then that put them at a higher risk for um, gut issues. So it kind of addresses the inflammation a little bit that you were talking about. But so think about that too. I mean, so you're trying to cut out gluten in order to lose weight or be healthy, but you could be starting up a whole other myriad of problems like inflammatory bowel disease, colorectal cancer, irritable bowel syndrome, and you do not want any of those, trust me.
Yeah.
So just something to keep in as well. And then another takeaway is also studies were showing that some people with celiac disease who are on a gluten-free diet actually started gaining weight.
Mm.
And they were saying that this could be partly due to the fact that, it was actually helping their gut improve absorption because they weren't eating gluten because they are celiac disease. So therefore, they were finally absorbing the nutrients and gaining the weight. But another thought was that an increased intake of gluten-free foods actually increases the intake of processed foods containing high amount of calories, fat, and sugar, which could also have had them gain weight. So the bottom line is really, gluten, unless you have a true gluten intolerance, you've been tested, it's been proven, or true celiac disease, it's really not necessary and could even be dangerous to go on a gluten-free diet.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to cut it out. It could increase risk of chronic diseases like cardiovascular disease. It could promote nutrient deficiencies. It may actually cause weight gain, and then it may actually put you at risk for things like inflammatory bowel disease, which really you do not want.
You definitely do not. Something that I do want to mention too is with food sensitivities and like testing for allergies, make sure you are getting it from a certified, like truly real place. so
Yeah.
many companies and you know nutrition specialists will offer food sensitivity testing and allergy testing, things like that. They aren't always 100%, and they can lead you to take out foods in your diet that really you don't have to, and can lead to things like all the things that April just talked about. You might not be gluten free, or you might not be lactose free. And something too that comes with that, especially with like if lactose is an example here, if you remove lactose from your diet, what your body does is break down lactose with an enzyme called lactase. When you remove lactose from your diet, your body doesn't need to produce as much lactase. So when you stop eating lactose, you don't have as much lactase. So when you start eating lactose again, then you're really screwed.
Yeah.
So your body has things in place to work on the foods that you are eating and that you're meant to eat. And then when you remove them, your body isn't as familiar with them. So when you do get them again, it's like, whoa. And it might actually not have as much of a great time digesting it. But scratch that. I might double check.
I would just say if you have cut anything out aggressively out of your diet and you're looking to reintroduce it, just do it very slowly and in small amounts. So say, for example, you did cut out dairy and you're like, I really miss dairy, I want it back. So slowly reintroduce it. Have a yogurt once a week.
Yeah.
Until you're used to that, then introduce something else, then introduce something
meat.
else.
Same with meat for vegetarians and vegans.
Yeah.
If you want to start having meat again, take it easy, take it slow.
Our bodies are amazing and complex and can readapt and start producing more lactase, but you just have to give it time. You have to give it a little tender love and care.
Yeah,
Don't
definitely.
overload it all at once.
Definitely. I have one more thing to mention, but I totally forgot. It's about gluten. I don't remember.
If you think of it later, you can mention it.
Yeah, I will.
All right, shall we get to the recipe segment?
Let's do it. Thank you so much, April. I loved that study. I think that it's important that we talk about the important stuff, so I like it.
Thanks. I'm excited to hear about your recipe. Okay, we'll talk to you guys in a bit.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
We are back.
We are back.
Welcome.
Welcome to Illyria.
Okay, so it is recipe time. And recipe time. I know that this is gonna sound like the exact same thing that I was like last week. I'm like, I'm so crazy busy. It's been crazy. And literally same thing. Still crazy busy. It's been crazy. And also today I'm a little less prepared because of daylight savings, and April lives in the one dumb independent state that doesn't recognize daylight savings, which I did not put two together.
Yeah, I know. I don't know why.
April posted on our Instagram page, go follow us, tastebuds_pod, that she was waiting for the pod. And I'm like, oh, I should probably go to that podcast that we both record together.
Yeah.
Not an hour later from now. Um, so
We
I
appreciate the
was,
hustle.
we're here. So I had planned to do a Thanksgiving recipe, but I am actually going to switch it up a little bit because this week has been busy. During the holidays, it's very, very busy. So I'm actually going to talk about one of my favorite busy weeknight recipes. It takes maybe 10 minutes to make, maybe. And it is literally like one of my favorites, go-tos, don't have to do much. So what I'm making is actually, it's a chicken stir fry on rice.
Yeah.
It's so good.
I love a
and
good stir fry.
so easy. Because all of the ingredients are already done. Sometimes, you're in a rush. You don't have time to get things together. And that's why I tell all my clients, and I listen to this myself, get some things that you can grab and go. Get some things that you don't have to worry about cooking. You don't have to spend an hour on making perfect. Get some things that you're like, okay, got this, that, throw it together in a bowl, done. So that's what I got. I have, for literally, it's going to be four ingredients.
We love it.
It is chicken that I got like a half pound of chicken at the beginning of the week, and I just cooked it all up. I diced it, and then I just cooked all of it, just olive oil, salt, pepper, a little bit of seasoning, so I can mix it into any recipe. I can do it Mexican. I've planned to be able to do it Mexican, Asian with stir fry. Last night I really wanted to have some mac and cheese because I've been missing it. So I got some Kraft mac and cheese, and I did just chicken with mac and cheese and some broccoli.
Yum.
So that was, 2 nights ago. But last night I used that chicken as well and had the cooked chicken already. I got pre-cut stir fry veggies. So again, really, really easy. I got a teriyaki sauce from the grocery store, and then I got microwave rice. Done.
Perfect.
Literally, you got your stove top. You just throw the veggies in for a little bit, saute them up a little bit, add the chicken, add the teriyaki sauce, mix it up, get it warm. Meanwhile, you're cooking the rice in the microwave, take it out, done. You've got a nice, balanced, healthy meal that you've hardly had to put any work into, which is my favorite kind of thing. And honestly, I recommend that to so many people because you can make it so easy. Being healthy doesn't have to be hard. Having vegetables in your dinners, having whole grains, having lean proteins, it doesn't have to be hard. It can take less than 10 minutes. So, it just involves a little bit of prep, a little bit of planning ahead, having some things in your pantry ready to go. And once you got it, you're good to go.
I love that because I think you were kind of feeling like, oh, I'm rushed. I was so busy this week. I didn't have time. But I think that's why this is so perfect because I'm sure every single one of our listeners feels rushed and often feels like they don't have time. And especially, like you pointed out, during the holidays, it gets even crazier and more wild, especially now that we're a little bit more out of the woods with COVID this year. So things are a little bit more back to normal. So this is absolutely perfect. This is such a good meal to put together on the fly. And like you said, prep that chicken ahead of time. I love a good stir fry. And that's a lot of times my go-to too. Yeah. And I know that like at Costco too, you could get frozen stir fry medleys if the fresh doesn't work for you, you don't have time to go to the grocery store or whatever, that works too. Such a great idea.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought it up.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, and it's great too, especially the week of Thanksgiving. You're planning on cooking a lot on Wednesday or Thursday. If you are the one that cooks a lot in your family, and you might not feel like cooking throughout the week, that's totally fine. You can get some things that, again, literally less than 10 minutes, throw it all in there. And it's just a good go-to all the time. And it's a really good example too of being able to break down an easy, simple meal that has all components. I've got whole grains. It's a rice and quinoa mix. So
yum. I love those.
Lean protein. I've got chicken, lots of veggies, some stir fry, and the teriyaki sauce has a little bit of fat in there too. So I've got all of the components right there, ready to go in a bowl or on a plate, however you want to do it.
Bowl, always.
So yeah, bowl.
I
I'm
can't
such
eat
a
rice
bowl.
on a plate. I just
I'm
can't
such a
do it.
bowl. Do you want to hear a very funny thing?
Always.
It's not that funny, but I mean, it's kind
If
of
I'm not laughing hysterically, I don't want to hear it.
I had a client when I worked at the eating disorder clinic, and her like food thing was that she'd only eat out of mugs.
Cool.
Yeah.
Wait,
and
that's an innovation.
yeah. Well, it was something about like knowing the serving size, and that was kind of her
Oh, I
comfort
see.
zone. But it was just so funny the way that she would talk about it. She'd be like, I'd rather mug it. And we were like,
Oh my gosh, I'd rather mug it.
we're like, do you think we can plate it today?
Or bowl it?
Yeah, maybe we can bowl it instead. Like it's just funny, like people's thing.
Rationale for things.
Yeah, the rationale when it comes to like eating disorders and just mental health in general.
That is really interesting, actually.
Yeah.
Mug it.
Yeah, she had such a good attitude about it too. Like she had gone through the system a couple times, which was a bummer, but she was like, yeah, I know what's going on. So she was great. She was an awesome client. But yeah, just something funny that comes to mind sometimes. Yeah.
Well, what a wonderful recipe. And I think this is such a good idea. Such a good way to give our listeners like just a good weeknight or weekend night meal idea. And you could even replace that rice with pasta if you wanted. You could replace the chicken with shrimp, something else.
And you can do any seasoning too. You can throw some Mexican seasoning on there. You can throw just like Italian dressing. You can just throw some whatever herbs on top as well. And it's also good to mention that it's a good meal for one. Right now I'm here by myself, and I think a lot of people have a hard time making a healthy meal for one. It's easier just to order out or drive through somewhere really quick, but you can make meals for one, and it can be really easy.
Yes, I agree. Well, thanks so much, Kelsey. That was delicious sounding, and I can't wait to eat lunch when we're done recording.
I know, I'm actually really hungry too. So
me too. All right, guys, we're gonna jump into the question and answer segment. So we'll see you guys in a bit.
Okay, see you soon. Hi everyone, we're back.
We're back and ready for the question section.
Questions of the week. Ask an RD. We need a good name for this section.
Yeah, we do. Something that's a play off of the taste buds.
Yeah. If anyone has any suggestions, let us know because I think we can come up with something fun. I do. So I mentioned earlier that I posted on my personal page and we posted on the Taste Buds page for some questions. And I am actually going to check now if we have any live Q&A.
Ooh.
I do. I've got a lot of questions. Oh, okay. Yeah, these are really nice. So we do have a couple live questions too that maybe we can go through at the end.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Okay. So first question of the week is, how do I reduce cravings for sweets?
Do you want me to answer it?
Yeah, dive right in and I'll put in my 2 cents too.
How to reduce cravings for sweets. Eat sweets.
You weren't expecting that answer, were you guys?
Surprise, surprise. Kelsey once again is telling you to eat chocolate. But yeah, honestly, to reduce cravings for treats, cravings aren't a bad thing. Cravings are something that we have as humans to tell us when we're hungry and to tell us when we need food. Cravings are good to have. What we're doing when we have cravings, especially for sweets, usually that means either we're hungry or we haven't had sweets or we maybe need something sweet. So and a lot of times people say, oh, I'm craving sweets, but I can't have any. I'm craving sweets, but I can't have any. Once again, when you change that mindset to I can't have any to I can have some, what am I in the mood for? That's when it kind of switches around. And you can also say, I can have some. Do I want some right now? Do I want some later? Do I want some in 10 minutes? Do I want some when I get home? Do I want some tomorrow? It kind of opens up this realm of I can have sweets whenever I want. And it takes the urgency out of the craving. It takes the urgency out of the,
Mhm.
I have to have it now. I can only have this much during this time, or this is my only chance to get it. I'm going to eat all of it. So
Mhm.
really, it's all about the mindset. It's all about allowing that craving or allowing that specific food into your life and into your diet. It really can help almost reduce, I'm not going to say reduce the craving because you're probably still going to crave it, but it's going to reduce the guilt around a craving, and it's going to reduce the I don't want to say amount, but reduce um the need for that food, the urgent
Yeah.
need.
I think it really does reduce the craving. So I absolutely 100% agree. And I really think these intense cravings a lot of people have just stem from heavy restriction and
Mhm.
negativity around that food. Because if you tell yourself you can't have something, you're going to want it tenfold.
Yeah.
Versus if you just give yourself true permission to have it when you truly want it, then you're not going to crave it as much. And myself, as a prime example, I used to go through, like, I love sweets. I love anything with sugar. It's just my thing. I would choose sweet over salty most of the time. And before I had a healthy relationship with food and was dieting and everything, I used to tell myself, I can't have any sweets. I can't have it. I can't have it. Like, it's so bad for me. Then and during that time when I was telling myself I couldn't have it, I was craving it all the time. It was constantly in my
Mhm.
mind. I couldn't stop thinking about it. Every time I passed it, I wanted some. And eventually I would end up binge eating it because I couldn't have it and then cycling back. But when I got to a point where I had a healthy relationship with food, I told myself I can literally have sweets anytime I want. And the cravings almost subsided.
Yeah.
And it got to a point where I really only had, ice cream is something I really love. And I think it got to a point where I really only have it maybe once, twice a month because that's
Yeah.
when I'm truly craving it. And on top of that, I always tell my clients this. I think it's really important to be um, a food snob.
Yeah.
And by that, I don't mean in relation to money. Like, I don't mean purchasing the most expensive foods. I mean with your taste buds.
Mhm.
So when I was in that place where I was restricting so much, I would eat anything that was sweet, no matter if I even liked it. So, like, for example, I'm really picky with my ice cream, and I only really
I
like
know.
Cold Stone and Ben and Jerry's. Yeah, I know you know. But I would eat like Dairy Queen. I would eat like Wendy's ice cream, all this stuff that I literally didn't even like the taste of. I didn't care
Yeah.
for just because it was sugar and sweet, and I couldn't have it, so therefore I wanted to have it more. Versus
Mhm.
now, I'm like, I don't even want that because I don't even like the taste of it.
Yeah.
So I wholeheartedly agree.
Definitely. Like being able to check in and actually use your taste buds is such a win. Actually, people don't
Mhm.
even realize that. But I have so many clients that will say, I actually ate this and I usually eat this all the time and I don't even like it.
Mhm.
Because I used, mindful eating for the first time where I was, trying to be intuitive about it. And I actually, this doesn't taste good. And I'm like,
Mhm.
amazing. That's awesome. Like, I'm
Yeah.
so glad that you're able to actually use your taste buds here and say, whoa, I've been just forcing this down my throat, whether it was that they thought was healthy, even healthy
Yeah.
foods. If you don't like the taste of it, you don't got to eat it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So yeah,
it
definitely.
is amazing.
Hmm.
That freedom
And
people will realize, like,
yeah,
I've been eating this and I don't even like it. I just eat it because I tell myself I can't have it, so it makes me want to have it, but I
yeah.
don't even like it.
And a question from, devil's advocate here would say, but you shouldn't have sugar because it's unhealthy and it's going to cause inflammation and blah, blah, blah. Well, being that stressed about it and having those intense cravings and every single day, day after day, having that extra stress is going to give
Mhm.
you worse low grade inflammation than eating a little bit of sugar every now and then, having ice cream a couple times a month.
Mhm.
Like having that stress and that daily
Yeah.
fight with food is going to be worse for you.
Absolutely. And I think one of the biggest fears that people have, and I don't know if you've noticed this in your clients too, when start them off with giving themselves full permission to eat whatever they want and really dive into those cravings, people fear that they're going to then just overeat anything and everything. But if
Hmm.
you're really paying attention to what your body needs and your actual cravings and you're giving yourself true permission, you really don't, and you'll probably end up eating less
Yeah.
because it's less of a last supper feeling where you feel like you have to eat as much as possible because you never get it and it's bad for you. And it's more of a, well, I really just wanted a few bites to satisfy my craving. And if I want it later, I'll have it. If I don't, I won't. If I want it tomorrow, I'll have it. It's like not a big deal. I eat it, satisfy my craving, and move on.
Yeah.
So That's a fear a lot of people have that really doesn't come to fruition if you're
Yeah.
doing it correctly.
And look, during the first maybe week or two of whatever, however, maybe it's going to be a month even of getting into intuitive eating, getting into, allowing yourself those foods, it might feel like overload. It might feel like, oh, now I can have all the things. I'm going to have all the things. But the longer that you work with that and just use that and listen to your body, you're going to go, oh my gosh, I've had so much chocolate. I think I'm going to take a little break. Like your brain is going to say, maybe or maybe it's not, and that's okay too. But it's the fact that your brain is going to start taking over, your body's going to start taking over and say, whoa, I don't feel super great all the time when I have that. I'm going to start having this or having that or whatever it is. Your body can your body knows what it wants. You just have to listen to it. So yeah, that's my answer.
Exactly. And I had one more thing to say and then I forgot it. So we'll move on to the next question.
Okay.
Okay, can you explain what the difference is between different types of sugar and which one is better, i.e. honey versus brown sugar versus coconut sugar versus maple syrup, etc.?
They all the same.
Mic drop. So
as soon as sugar gets into your body, it's glucose, baby. It's all gonna be the same thing. Some of them, I mean, things like syrup and honey do have like a little few more nutrients, but they're so negligible. Like, eat the one you want, have the one you want, because it's not going to be that. It's not going to be different.
So the only real, I wholeheartedly agree. Sugar is sugar is sugar. Keep that in mind. Whether it's brown sugar, coconut sugar, maple syrup, whatever it is, it's still sugar. And there's this ongoing thing in diet culture that if you use honey and agave syrup, it's going to be better for you than regular sugar. It's not. It's the same thing. Like Kelsey said, it's all metabolized the same way into glucose. The only real resounding difference is the glycemic index can vary. But we talked about that in a past episode.
Yeah, we did.
So not something to stress about. It's much better to eat the sugar that you're actually going to enjoy and it's going to satisfy your cravings so you can then just move on with life than eat something you don't enjoy and then just end up eating so much more because you're trying to satisfy that craving.
Yeah, definitely. I think too, like, for example, I follow this person on Instagram and she does like yoga and healthy lifestyle and stuff. I don't agree with a lot of things she does with healthy lifestyle, but I really like her yoga stuff. So I continue to follow her. But like she mentioned the other day, she's like, oh yeah, I made this she made something for breakfast, but she was like, but I made it with coconut sugar and I used coconut syrup instead of maple syrup. And I'm just so happy I can make this a healthier breakfast for me and my kid. And I was like, it's the same thing. It just tastes a little bit different.
Yep.
Not that she needs my 2 cents, but I was just like on my Instagram, like, oh my gosh, come on, people, stop spreading this misinformation because it's literally the same thing. Sugar, the white sugar that you get already comes from a couple different places. It can come from beets, it can come from cane, it can come from, I think those are the main 2 sources. But same. They look the exact same when they're refined. Same with every other sugar. Maybe it's a little bit browner. It's going to have a little bit more liquid in it, or molasses maybe, or whatever the sugar is. Like with coconut sugar, it's just going to have a little bit more liquid in it, or sugar. It's going to just be a little less refined, but it's not.
It's all the same.
It's all the same.
Do you remember which episode we talked about glycemic index? I know it was
episode 3.
Episode 3. Okay, so like you said, sugar. The only real resounding difference is glycemic index. So if you're interested in hearing our take in regards to glycemic index, then go to episode 3 and check it out there. Okay, great. Anything else to add in regards to that question?
I don't think so. I think we covered it. Pretty well.
Yeah. So basically with sugar, I just use whatever sugar I think will taste better with said recipe. I like to use a lot of maple syrup. Obviously, I'm a pancakes, but I like to use maple syrup in oatmeal. I feel like it tastes really good in there. Like a pure maple syrup. Not the artificial kind, because it tastes different.
Yeah.
That's a taste bud thing
for me. Oatmeal lately. I think I don't know. Every time I make oatmeal now, I have a few bites and I just can't handle it.
Not your thing?
No.
It ebbs and flows.
It changes. It goes back and forth.
All right, last question. Is artificial sugar bad for you?
You can start.
No, it is not bad for you. There are some studies floating around out there that cite that they've seen some artificial sugars cause cancer in rats. Some studies have shown it causes cancer in rats, but again, it has not shown that it ever would cause cancer in humans, and rats are not even close to humans, so it's not something to be concerned about. So I think fake sugar is a great alternative if it's something you want to introduce into your lifestyle. I tend to love Diet Coke. Actually, I just grew up drinking it, so now regular Coke just tastes weird to me. So I say use it as you see fit in your lifestyle, but no, it is not bad for you.
My only 2 cents on that is just be careful with the amount that you have because it can cause some digestive issues, especially in things like chocolate or sweets. If you find that you're going to be eating a lot of them, I don't know if you've ever seen the reviews for like sugar-free gummies on Amazon. If you haven't, I suggest checking it out because you will get a laugh if you're feeling down. But yeah, if you overdo it on the fake sugar, it can cause some bad things in the tummy area. Temporary,
Yeah.
acute bad things in the tummy area.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And that's the thing about nutrition is it's so individualized. And some people don't even experience that. Like I personally eat a lot of artificially flavored things, mostly beverages, but I've never had any issues with that. And then I know some people who do have issues with that. So
Yeah.
it's all very personalized. It's a great thing to point out. So I would just pay attention to what works best with you and your body and your GI tract. And again, with artificial sugar, in terms of choosing it for your lifestyle, I personally choose it based on how it makes me feel. If I'm drinking, so for example, most of the time when I get artificial sugar is sodas. I have diet sodas and then Starbucks. When I go to Starbucks, I prefer to get sugar-free syrup because I personally feel better after I have a sugar-free beverage versus if I have one with full sugar, that actually upsets my GI tract. All that sugar just being poured into me. I personally just don't enjoy it. I prefer the sugar-free beverage, and I just feel better afterwards. So it's all very individualized to you. Again, could cause GI issues, very specific, but certainly not bad for you.
Yeah. Awesome. I love that answer.
All right.
Should I pull a live question?
Do it.
Okay. Let's see what we got. What do we got? Okay. You ready? This kind of is based off what we just talked about.
Oh,
and
perfect.
It's very short. Constipation. Why?
That's not even a question.
Well, it ended with a question mark.
Why are they wondering why they have constipation?
I think that might be the issue here. So just maybe some things that can cause constipation, some things that they can do to work on it.
Okay, my top tips for combating constipation are increase your fiber in your intake in your diet. So that includes fruits and vegetables, lots of whole grains. Make sure you're drinking enough water. 3 liters on average for adult females, 4 liters for adult males on average, and that could be increased depending on how much movement you get in and which environment you live in. It's really hot outside, you want to drink more, but around that amount. Movement helps with constipation as well, so walking, running, getting any type of movement is going to help with that. And then my other recommendation is patience.
Yeah.
Because if you're constipated and you're trying to reintroduce all these things into your lifestyle, fiber, water, movement to help with that, it's going to take some time to really reset your GI tract. So have some patience.
Definitely. I also think in the long run, if you're dealing with constipation a lot, you might want to look into probiotics that can cause, your gut health can have a huge effect on your bowel movements, which seems kind of obvious, but something that we can, touch on. You might need to, introduce some probiotics into your diet, some prebiotics. Also, a lot of people experience constipation when they've had really, really like high fat foods.
Mm-hmm.
It slows your gastric emptying, which is just, it slows your digestion by a lot, and it can cause that, bloated, constipated feeling. So maybe take it easy on the high fat foods if you find that that is, causing you a lot of issues. And, if you find that you're more regular after you do that, you can have those in moderation.
Yeah, so I would say anything that's fried would be really high in fat. If you
Red
eat a
meat.
lot of cheese
Yeah.
or a lot of red meat, like an excessive amount, that could cause constipation.
Yeah.
It would be more so those saturated fats. I'm trying to think of other examples.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. And it doesn't mean you can't have them. It just means,
absolutely.
if it causes you some discomfort, just take it easy.
And that's all about whole big picture and neat little package of health, right? So
Yeah.
evaluating what is good for you. If you can only have red meat and cheese X amount of times a week or a month because otherwise you'll have painful constipation, then that's just what your lifestyle is going to be. That doesn't mean that you're cutting back on it because it's bad for you. It just mean you're listening to what your body's telling you, which is saying, hey man, this is too much because I'm getting backed up and it's really uncomfortable. So it really just comes down to listening to your GI tract and your body, and everyone's going to be different. The amount of red meat and cheese that I can eat versus what Kelsey can eat versus what
I can
all
eat
of
a
you
lot of
can
cheese.
eat. It's so different for everybody.
Yeah.
But yeah, increased water intake, so about 3 liters for adult women, about 4 liters for adult men. Increase if you're getting lots of movement in, get lots of movement in, and increase fiber, fruit, vegetables, whole grains.
Love it. Thank you.
Live it, love it. That was fun. A live question. We should do that.
I know. Maybe we should try to do this every week, because I feel like we do need to do a better job of asking people to ask us questions. So
I know, we need to remind people.
We can put those out as often as we can and remember to, because we've already gotten some good questions coming in. So
yes, good call, Kelsey. Thank you for doing that.
Thank you for reminding me to do it and to come to our podcast today. So
it wasn't entirely your fault though, because it was daylight savings, and
I'm going to blame your state for it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. When I first moved here, I at first did not believe that we didn't have daylight savings. Like my grandma told me that, and I was like, "Stop pulling my leg. Everywhere has daylight savings." She's like, "No, Arizona doesn't." And I was like, "Wow, you're right. I should always listen to you."
Honestly, it's the most American thing to me ever. Like, hey, the whole country's doing this except for us.
It is.
It's our right to not change the clock, so we're not doing it because I don't want to. Like,
you're so right. And I don't even know why we don't do it, truthfully. I haven't looked into it.
I don't think they know. I think just because they could.
And I wondered, but I wonder too, and I don't know if this is so silly, but Arizona just gets such an aggressive amount of sunlight, and the whole point of daylight savings was to get the most out of sunlight in the wintertime. And we just get so much sunlight here, like truly, like all the time. So maybe the thought was it doesn't really matter. I don't know.
I wonder if it's like, because it's for farming. So I'm wondering, like, maybe your crops aren't, I don't know.
We have like cotton.
Maybe it's about your agriculture. I don't know.
Something to look into.
We're speculating.
I know.
Allegedly, it's the agriculture.
Oh gosh. All right. Well, thank you guys for listening to another episode of the Taste Buds podcast. We hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving filled with beautiful foods. Don't forget to satisfy your cravings. Enjoy those foods. Don't feel guilty or stressed about it. Don't restrict or over exercise because you are planning on eating. And just really enjoy the day.
Live it, love it, enjoy it. Have the best Thanksgiving meal. And I hope you get to have some good Thanksgiving leftovers too.
Yes.
Like a good turkey sandwich.
Ain't that the truth?
All right, everyone. Have a great week, and we will talk to you next week. Thanks.
Bye, guys.
Bye.